What's up, enthusiasts? It's your boy Rob, back with another video. Guys, looks like Hasbro slash Wizards of the Coast could be fudging the numbers for the sales on the new Player's Handbook. Let's take a look at this video from Roll for Combat.
Hey everyone, Stephen Glicker here from Roll for Combat, and I'm just following up from my video yesterday in which I reported from BookScan that the Player's Handbook 2024 last week sold a whopping 3,773 copies.
Damn.
Now, this is according to BookScan, and don't you...
So guys, let's do this. Let's do this while we're watching this video. That's a lot of damn books, by the way. In my possession, I have what may very well be my last booster box of Icons of the Realms. I think I've got far too many miniatures. I never thought I'd say that, but I've got so many miniatures. I've got so many miniatures that I've got enough for role-playing, like that I only use solely for role-playing, wargaming, and I don't even touch my board game miniatures anymore. They stay in the box. So we're going to open this, watch this video.
Messenger, I have nothing to do with this number. I just wanted people to be aware because I myself was very curious, especially after they touted in their own PR that it sold more than Tasha's. Now, according to BookScan, Tasha sold 133,100 copies when it first came out. That is, well, I'll put it this way. If that's how many copies it sold now, it would be #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, by far. In fact, it would just be #1 in probably every category. That is a gargantuan numbers of books sold. And so they're saying that, well, we sold more, which means it should be everywhere, okay? So I'm going to go through some of the...
I don't doubt that this is probably going to be Wizards' most popular version of, or edition, I just said version, edition of D&D. Now, I think the landscape of the game will be changing. Again, this is why I'm saying, another reason why I'm saying this is possibly my last box of miniatures. I don't think, I'll always want to play my campaigns with miniatures, you know, drawing it out on a dry erase board or grid paper or whatever. I think that's just, it's the way I learned how to play. It's my preference. I'm not saying I'm opposed to playing strictly online with Sigil or anything like that, but I just think that there's something unique about having the miniatures out on the table.
The notes I've been seeing some posts here and there, and I'm going to go through each one of them and try to decipher what the heck is going on here, okay? How is this possible that everyone thinks this thing sold amazing, WOTC said this thing sold amazing, yet BookScan is reporting a very low number, and I'm going to also show you some weird stuff going on with Amazon in which you can't even find the book, and it's nowhere in any lists or anything else. So we're going to go through.
Now, I've seen the book at Barnes and... No, I saw the book at Books A Million. I have not seen the book yet at Barnes & Noble. I haven't been to Barnes & Noble in at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, somewhere. It's been a while. It's been since sometime early September since I've seen it. So, first miniature, this thing. There we go. Let's keep this going while I'm doing this. To multitask.
So first of all, let's give some context. Okay, so BookScan, you can look up BookScan. BookScan basically came out, I think, 2001, and it basically is like the Nelson of book sales. And you can subscribe to it. It's owned by a different company now, and they go around and they get book sales from Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart. Yes, they do get Amazon, and something like 800 independent bookstores, Home Depot, pretty much everyone. Home Depot, I know.
Yeah, I was about
pretty
to
much
say,
anyone who sells books. Okay, if they sell books,
I don't think I've ever seen a book in Home Depot. And trust me, I own my home, so I actually frequent Home Depot So, I mean, I feel like there's not at least a month that goes by that I'm not scouring the aisles of Home Depot for some sort of home repair item.
And your big box store or even a medium store, Books a Million, they will, get those reports.
Ooh, zombie.
So that's the first thing. Do they include flags? Friendly local game stores? Probably not. However, here's the thing. I'm comparing apples to apples. So the very first thing that everyone is saying is that, well, that can't possibly be true because the flags we're selling it and they're doing great. Okay, let's say that's true. Let's say that BookScan is vastly underrepresenting game stores and comic book stores, which it can be. It probably isn't included. Let's just say that's true. But that would mean it's
Um, I don't know how many gaming stores you guys have in your area. We have, I feel like we only have one at this point. It's kind of two, but one, you don't hear anything from the store. I don't even know if they're still there. I've gone to the store like once. We had another store that was kind of in competition with our really big store, which is Firefly in our area. Firefly is just so massive. It's probably one of the biggest hobby stores I've been to, and I've been to quite a few. But and it's got a very dedicated group of players that go there for everything from role-playing games to board games, card games, everything. They usually have a pack house every night. So I mean, I know they've sold some copies of the handbook. If they sold a lot, I don't know. They usually don't keep many copies of rule books in stock unless it's for Warhammer.
true for Tasha's as well. So let's just say you're missing 50% of the sales. Okay, let's just say 50% of the sales are gone. Well, okay, that means then Tasha didn't sell 133,000 copies. Tasha sold 266,000 copies, which then means that the Player's Handbook didn't sell 3,700 copies. It sold like 7,000 copies.
Guys, I want to stop the video real quick because I'm making a crap ton of noise. And there we go. All right.
You see what I'm getting at? It's an apples to apples comparison. Because I'm using BookScan against BookScan, if they're missing the stores, they're missing the stores on all the reporting, okay? So that's the first thing. Now, does that number seem low? Yes, that number seems insanely
Look
low.
at that.
However, when you look at
Not a bad pull for, I don't even need to put my hand there. Not a bad pull for my last booster. So happy with that. Very happy with that. Yes.
at it a little bit more closely, this might be, I believe it or not, on purpose. Okay, this actually might be on purpose. WOTC seems to be going through great trouble to hide these numbers. I'm going to go through that in a second.
I mean, but would they need to, though?
I'm going to switch to a little view here. So everyone will agree that Amazon is probably one of the best indicators for sales of, well, pretty much any product, but especially books, okay? So whenever you...
So I wonder if WOTC overestimated, thinking we've got all these new players that are, jumping on board because, Critical Role, Stranger Things, all these other YouTubers that are constantly pushing Dungeons and Dragons. It's in the limelight right now. And it has been for, I'd say, the past, at least the past 4 years, I feel like. D&D has been leaving its mark everywhere. But I wonder if all those new players, at least the ones that are buying their books that aren't really considered role players, that aren't really enthusiasts of the hobby, and maybe they're kind of checking in. It's just a small pastime. It's just something they're going to do. Maybe they've bought their book they bought their dice, or maybe if they even are buying books, they bought their dice, and that's kind of it.
Look at books. You
And
can
maybe they're not interested
look
in
at
buying
books,
new
and you
stuff.
can look at the Amazon rankings to see where they're at.
I mean, if I just bought a $50 book last year, and I was just told, hey, this new book is out. It's kind of the old book that you have. It's just slightly updated. It's backwards compatible and all this kind of stuff. I'd probably just not buy it. But then it's going to also be a lot of people that have been playing the game that will buy everything D&D. I know they're buying it. And if this was me, when 5th edition was coming out, there was no question that I was buying 5th edition.
There's a couple of very strange things going on. First of all, here's the D&D Player's Handbook 2014. The first thing they did is that it's grouped here as That's products under
weird.
one SKU. That's weird, okay? They kind of... I was talking to someone who's an Amazon expert, and he said they do that to hide the sales, that they actually can try to hide the sales and try to keep them...
My wife is an Amazon expert, by the way, guys. She's an Amazon expert because she constantly buys things on Amazon. I feel like not a week goes by that I don't have a package on the doorstep from Amazon.
Combined. Also, if you want it, it helps with SEO. There's a lot of reasons to do it. But what makes it fascinating is look here. So the 2014 edition has 53,712 ratings. Okay, that makes sense. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
It's been around 10 years now. But now, watch this. If we switch to the 2024 and watch up here, watch in the corner where it says books, if you switch here, a couple things happen. Oh, actually, it didn't switch to toys. Let me reload this. This actually was doing this before. Oh, it is. See? Toys and games. There we go. Mm-hmm. This, not only does it only have 69 ratings, which, by the way, if this thing supposedly sold like insane numbers, that number is way too low.
I was just going to say that.
And
unless everyone's buying the books direct, which I find hard to believe, but because Amazon is kind of just a place where people go now. I don't see a lot of people going to Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and other whatever book chains that are still around. Which is funny because I saw like 3 groups of people playing D&D at Books A Million. They have a D&D night there now. But I just don't see that being the place people would go to buy their books. So I think a lot of newcomers to the hobby are probably either buying direct or maybe going to the hobby store. I feel like the hobby store is a bit of a stretch too, because again, hobby stores aren't, at least in my area, like I said, we've got one. It's really big, but unless you were really involved with the hobby, you wouldn't have any clue about this place.
Now a toy and game. So most people buy stuff online anyway. They switched this under a new category. It's under the toys and games category. So this is no longer considered a book, and other people have pointed this out. I actually have talked about this in my past videos, and I believe the reason that they're doing this, there's a lot of reasons, but basically toys, you get a bigger cut of sales if you're selling toys instead of books. Also, books have this thing where they can return unsold product.
Yeah, I know about
that.
Say,
Target buys 100 books and they only sell 10 books. They can return 90 books, and that sucks. And
maybe, obviously, I mean, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, they're hip to that. So they're just taking preventative measures and just getting out in front of it. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know enough about that whole thing, like switching your product from a book to a toy, and how all of that works. I do know about companies being able to return unsold books.
Trust me, as someone who sells books for a living as a publisher, I know this because I get, everyone gets returns, and you just have to give back the money or give them credit. It's terrible. But guess what? You don't do that with games, okay? If they buy 100 games, well, they're stuck with those games.
Well, I mean, there we go.
That's one of the things that I believe that they've been doing, and I said this a couple of months ago, is that they've been recategorizing all the new D&D products as toys.
Yeah.
That is also, they get a big...
I mean, not to mention, if this stuff is popping up when people are searching for D&D, and it's coming up under toys. I mean, what do kids search for? I mean, they're searching for toys. They're not searching under books. And so if, even though it's clearly a book, you can also say, hey, it kind of goes hand in hand with things, these miniatures, and all the other dice and everything else, and player mats and everything else they've got branded with the D&D trademark. So maybe there's a method to that madness.
Bigger cut, and you also, whenever you do books, you have to let people know what books you're selling 6 to 9 months ahead of time. With toys, you only have to let people know 6 weeks ahead of time.
There's another reason.
That's a whole other discussion. The other thing is, okay, so that's being said, this is a toy. Well, then let's look under the best sellers, okay? So if this is a bestseller, and you can do this on your own, shouldn't it be here, okay? Like, if this thing sold 100,000 copies or 133,000 copies,
that's
where
true.
is it? Why is it not here? It's not listed anywhere, and but Magic's here. Okay,
Yeah,
Magic's here.
yeah.
But
Of course,
you don't
Magic
see
is
it.
there.
So it's not listed. All right, so that's weird. So, okay, it's not listed under bestsellers. Well, let's look.
I could see it being more of a challenge for it to be at the top of the list as a toy. I mean, toys. When a toy is popular, I mean, it sells like gangbusters. I mean, it's toys move off, or toys will fly off the shelves when it's something that's popular. So, I'm not saying D&D isn't popular, but D&D is probably popular to an older audience. I'd say maybe 16 to, hell, who knows what age. I mean, let's say 16 to 35 is that, that prime group of customers. And so, I mean, maybe that just wouldn't make it as high in the rating for toys as you would think. So
Look under Amazon bestsellers. Now, this is where it gets really strange. Player's Handbook, by the way, this is 2014.
yeah,
If it was listed as a book, it would probably be number 1. It's not even number 1. Heck, it's not even number 2. It's number 3. The Dungeon Master's Guide is number 1, and the player.
that's very surprising that at any point the DMG would outpace the Player's Handbook. I was always assumed that the Player's Handbook is a book that everyone's going to buy. The only thing I would think that would sell more than the Player's Handbook, well, no, nothing was in the core 3 books. I would just always assume that the Player's Handbook would outsell the other two, with maybe the DMG even being last. So, but that shows you how much I know.
Then Monster Manual, the Player's Handbook. So what I did is I was curious to see if these rankings. Now these rankings are updated, I think, every hour by Amazon. So,
But you know what? If you're getting into the hobby, you're going to buy the Player's Handbook. You're probably going to buy the DMG, and then you probably go to the Monster Manual. With the experience we have now, or I have now, and I know a lot of you guys have, that have run games, you're still going to go Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and then DMG if you feel like you need it.
I looked at BookScan, and I can't show you BookScan. I can't show you. I get in trouble. But the long story short is I looked at BookScan.
Show us BookScan.
I wanted to see. Oh, by the way, this is bestsellers in fantasy gaming. Sorry, I'm going to go to Dungeons & Dragons. Let's just go right to Dungeons & Dragons. Look at this. It's not even listed. It's not even here. Okay? It's not even here. It's not even listed. But I wanted to see if these rankings are pretty much accurate according to BookScan. And sure enough, they are. The Dungeon Master's Guide, according to BookScan, last week sold 704 copies. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, Monster Manual, 668 copies. All right, that's here. Player's Handbook, 2014, sold 587 copies.
Did he say like last week?
This book here, The Traps and Dungeons,
Or did he mean like last
sold
month? Or
546 copies. Let's see. This here, the Game Master's Handbook, this sold 498 copies. You can kind of see where I'm getting at. So these are descending down. The D&D Essentials have been all over the place. This goes anywhere from 500 to 1,000 copies. So this could have been ranked higher or lower depending on the time and day.
Yeah, I wonder how the Essentials lines will do. Remember the old Red Box and all that stuff? I wonder how those will sell now with the game primarily switching to online, or catering to people to play it online. So I used to think those were a waste of money, but I think for a person that just wants to dabble with D&D, you're not going to be like playing every weekend or every other weekend. Hell, you may only play once a month. Those are actually pretty good to kind of get a bearing for the game, and then maybe they come with dice usually. I remember the fourth edition Red Box came with like the map and the tokens and stuff like that, so I thought that was really cool, and it came with like the power cards, so there's that. But I wonder how they'll do now, if that's something they'll still sell. I don't know.
Hey, but right now it's up to 4. But these were ranked
And those
in
are
order,
always in
and if I
like
keep
Walmart
going down
and
the
Target,
list,
too.
they do continuously go more or less in this order. So, with that being said, if it sold 3,000 copies, it should be number 1 here. But because they moved it to the toy category section, it's not even listed here. Okay, so let's go under new releases. So it should be under here because it is a new release. Okay, this is a definition of a new release. So I'm looking under gaming. It's not here.
Oh,
Okay,
bolt
where
action.
is it? It's not here.
Shout out to
Actually,
bolt action.
Pathfinder's here, and this came out a few weeks ago. A couple of these things here, and look, this here is the D&D book. It's here. Another Pathfinder book. Another D&D book. So there's some D&D books. Another Pathfinder book. Okay, so these are new releases. Another Pathfinder book. But here's a D&D book, but these aren't, no Player's Handbook. All right. Player's Handbook's not here. So let's go under new releases for toys, because now it's categorized as a toy.
Yeah, but
Magic.
it's not going to be.
More Magic.
I feel like
Pokemon.
it wouldn't be anywhere near the top of that list
It's not here. More Magic.
if it's
So
a toy.
this is
Or
really,
categorized as a toy.
really, really weird. As I was saying, the person I was talking to, who is an expert at Amazon, said that they are going out of their way to hide the sales. Okay, and this is all automated. This is not something that they can just manipulate, but you can, depending on how you rank it, how you place it, what you label it. There's a lot of ways to actually obfuscate where things are showing up on Amazon. Long story short is, good luck trying to find this. Okay, you can't find it anywhere. And if this thing was selling absolute gangbusters, it would be somewhere. It would be on a list.
Yeah,
Some
it would be like
somewhere,
on a
but it's not.
bestsellers book
Okay.
list or something like
So
that.
that's
Which-
pretty interesting. Next is that I was curious to see what the best-selling book of last week was. And the best-selling book of all of last week was sorry, I'm looking it up. Fourth Wing. So Fourth Wing, the
heard of
paperback. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's it's a fantasy novel. It sold 101,387 copies. Okay, that's number one. Number one. And if you look on Amazon, I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to lose my place, but it is pretty accurate. Again, if it's outsold Tasha's, which sold 133,000 copies, that would make it the number one
books
bestseller
in
in the country. Okay, it would be outsold Tasha's according to D&D, according to WOTC. They said it outsold it. Well, it's not even listed. And in fact, the other thing is, I don't know how many copies of these books you think people think that are sold, but it's not that many. Okay, I'm looking at the top 10 rankings. Okay, the number 5 book, The Butcher Game, sold 26,000 copies. Okay, and that's number 5 in the United States.
Right,
Okay,
so
the
it
entire
should
United
be on the
States.
list, then.
Number 10, The Wild
Sorry,
Robot,
it would be on
Volume
that
1,
list if
sold
they were
18,000 copies.
If it's sold with, they said, if they were making the numbers they said they were, it would be somewhere on this bestseller list, and clearly it's not, unless it's just way outside top 20.
So that's number 10. So it's not like,
But
they're
be
selling
there.
millions of copies of books a week. No, like if you sell 10,000 copies of a book in a week, that will put you in the top 50 books sold in all of the United States. Okay, that's how few books are actually sold per week. It adds up. Trust me, it adds up quite a bit over time, but books are not like, okay, they're not selling massive numbers. I'm looking here, number 100, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, sold 6,768 copies. So, again, it's not like these books are selling 1 million copies a week every week,
Right.
or 100,000, or even 10,000. Okay, if you can sell a couple hundred copies of a book per week,
So again, it's clear that WOTC wants to fudge the numbers. They want to make people think that, oh, I'm assuming at least they want to make people think that, man, this game is selling big. Don't miss the hype train. Everyone's going to be playing this. They're making this facade. That the game is doing extremely well. Or they're just selling so many books direct. So many more books are being sold direct versus through a third party, that the numbers are just extremely skewed because of that. If you were asking me, I think they're just trying to puff some smoke up some behinds.
that's good. I know it's a little sad when you hear that, but it's true. So, not for nothing, the Player's Handbook over time has sold pretty much over 2 to 3 million copies. That is a gargantuan bestseller.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not putting anything against them, but it does extremely well. Something else is that if you go to the Barnes & Noble website and you search for the Player's Handbook 2024, it doesn't come up. You can't buy it. You might be able to buy it in Barnes & Noble. So some other places do sell. You go to Books A Million, it's there. But my point...
Guys, forgive me if there is a constant buzzing noise in the background. There's a landscaper outside and he's blowing, and it's extremely annoying. I'm trying to ignore it.
Point being is that you can't find it that easily. You can't find it. I couldn't find it at Target, Walmart. I heard they're not even stocking it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't see the book showing up at Target or Walmart. Again, Walmart and Target, they'll get like the Essentials box or something like that. They'll have some sort of D&D product to sell. We know that. And they probably won't even have a lot of them. They'll have, I'd say, maybe 5 boxes to a store. And maybe that's hell. I mean, if it's in Walmart and Target, even if they're carrying 5 boxes, that's still pretty good numbers. And if they're classified as toys, then that money has been made and there are no returns that can be sought. So the other thing is, I've seen the book. Again, I saw the book at Books A Million. They only had 1 copy. Now, is that because there was only 1 copy left, or is that because they only ordered 1 copy, or maybe they ordered a small number of copies? But I know at the Books A Million in my area, they've got a ton of 5th edition stuff, 2014 stuff. So they may not have this shelf space, and they are not marking those books down, especially if Wizards is saying the book is backwards compatible. I don't see where retailers will mark those books down unless this is like maybe a year or 2 out, and they're like, okay, we don't have any space to put the new stuff on the shelf. We've got to get rid of this old stuff, and then they start liquidating that old stuff. But as it is right now, the Books A Million in my area has absolutely no more room for anything D&D other than the few books of the 6th edition, 2024 edition of D&D, the Player's Handbook. So,
from what I heard, and you can't, it's hard to find. It's not showing up on any lists. So what does this all mean? Well, I think people are missing the point. And the point is that, did it sell extremely well? Do I believe what WOTC said? The answer is yes. I actually do believe it sold extremely well. I bet you they've sold hundreds of thousands of copies.
Then it's all got to be.
And I believe that
direct.
98% of them have been online.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. This is what they wanted. Okay? They make almost... Okay, I've gone through the numbers. Every time they sell a hardcover book, WOTC makes approximately 35% of the cover price. That's it.
Yeah.
So if they sell a $50 book,
which is normal.
they're making, what's that, like 17, 18 bucks per book? Well, guess what? If they sell that $50 book online, they're making 50 bucks.
Oh yeah, so
they have been pushing very, very hard direct sales.
which makes so much sense with the direct sales because they want people on their platform playing D&D, filling out the character sheets, signing up for subscriptions, everything, the whole nine. They want them there on their sites, on their platforms, doing that so they can monetize. I don't think I will be purchasing the new edition, the 2024 edition Player's Handbook or core books, unless you guys want to, send me a gift. By all means, I don't mind. But other than that, I know me. If I buy the Player's Handbook, then I'm going to want to get the rest. So unless I'm gifted the Player's Handbook and then the other two core books, I don't see myself purchasing the new edition 2024 D&D. It's sad, but that is the case. Just what it is.
In which, again, they make 100% of the profit because they're selling it themselves. And they've been pushing D&D Beyond, where, yeah, they're selling it for less, but they're still making more money. We are missing the forest through the trees. We should be celebrating that WOTC is doing exactly what they want to do, which is they're moving everyone online, and looks like they're doing a pretty good job of it. Because, think about it. Tasha's came out in 2020. Not that long ago. Less than 4 years ago. As a physical copy of a book, it sold 133,000 copies. I have no idea what it sold online, but I guarantee it was not even a fraction of that. In less than 4 years, WOTC has now managed, according to their own numbers, is the best-selling product in all of history for D&D, that they outsold Tasha's, which they said was their best-selling book ever. And worldwide, by the way, that was just United States. So I'm just going to throw up a number. We'll say 200,000. Okay, I'm guessing here. 200,000 copies of Tasha's was sold worldwide the first week. So we'll say they sold at least 250,000 copies of the Player's Handbook worldwide, including pre-sales, probably including the Gen Con numbers.
Gen
Everyone
Con.
keeps saying, what about Gen Con? Yes, Gen Con's another 3,000 copies.
3,000 copies? I don't know if 3,000 copies sold at Gen Con. I mean, obviously, I got no basis for this. I don't know. I saw something that Gen Con had, I think it was like 70,000 people there. Something crazy. Some large number is record attendance at Gen Con. But I can't see them selling that many copies of D&D. I could be completely wrong.
Including direct sales, which does not get reported the book scan, including flags, and including, most importantly, D&D Beyond, and all of the sales that they put there. So when I look at this,
It's a game
I'm thinking,
changer.
well, they probably sold
It's a game changer.
300,000 copies of this book. They sold maybe 10 to 20,000 copies of the book physical. Let's be generous, okay? I'll say 50,000 copies. Okay, if they sold 50,000 copies of the book in the last few weeks between pre-sales and flags, so what's that, 250,000 or something that was sold online? This is exactly what WOTC wanted. And I'm going to keep following this story because I'm actually very interested to see how these numbers go up and down. Oh, there's one more thing, is that Amazon supposedly only reports their numbers, the book scan, once a month. I actually don't know if that's true or not. So I'm going to make sure and check the numbers to see if they go up or down. And the reason I was showing you all those lists, because in theory, okay, maybe Amazon has been grossly underrepresented in this number, but then they should be all over these lists. They should.
Yeah, which I find it hard to believe because, again, let's just say most of these sales are coming from a lot of the new people that are playing D&D now. I think that Amazon would be probably the number one place you're going to think of buying the book. Typically would be, but I guess, again, buying it directly from Wizards is going to be where a lot of people will be purchasing as well. But between the two,
be in the bestsellers, they should be in the new releases, they should have tons of rankings and ratings, but they don't. Okay, you can't even find the book on Amazon unless you like look for it specifically. And they go out of their way to change it from a book to a toy. And it's not even listed in the toy section under anything in terms of best-selling or ranking or new releases. So, again, I believe that this thing is selling extremely well, and that WOTC is extremely happy with how it's selling.
Of course.
And
I think
it's all online, and congratulations. The digital future is among us, and welcome to the future in which everything is going to be online. I don't know about you, but I still got my books, and I still like them. You know, I still keep my books, and I got this huge bookshelf behind me. I do play
brother.
online, though. I mean, I am one of those people that has a huge bookshelf, and I can count the number of times I've played in person.
I haven't played D&D in a while, but I think still for me, it's going to be at the table in front of people. It's going to be my preferred way for the foreseeable future. Clearly, I will play online. I've got no problem with that. I always say that, and I will do that at any point that my group ever wants to do that. We're all here in the same town. I'd say no more. The furthest person out is about 45 minutes, but we make it work.
Anyhow, I'm going to continue following the story. Do come back every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a live show where we interview someone in the industry, and we talk
pretty cool.
all about D&D and gaming and all that fun stuff. Do like and subscribe.
All right, guys. So this was a good video. Give them a sub if you can, if you haven't already. But this is a very interesting topic. I want to make sure we keep up with this as well. We'll see where it kind of falls in place with the previous editions. I think it'll outsell 2014, but definitely something interesting. I like this video, guys. I'll leave a link for it. And as always, I will see you when I see you.